Hello, I'm going to talk today about what I'm thinking when I'm practicing the flute. The first thing you need to pay attention to when you're playing is that your breath is coming from really low down, because the breath should be long. You don't really want it to be a wide breath. One thing you can do to find your breath is snore. Without lifting my collarbone, I'm going to make kind of a snoring noise like this. So I'm not doing this. I'm not lifting my shoulders when I take my breath. I'm keeping my body length from my sternum to my nose about the same. So if you could imagine there was like a coil or a slinky that was here that wasn't going to change shape a lot. So when I pick up a flute, when I take my breath, I don't want to lift my body. I don't want to lift my ribs or my arm. I want to stay fairly neutral. So again, the other thing you can do besides snoring that works is kind of something I used to see my teacher when I studied with Julius Baker. He used to always do this thing like this. And I thought, why is he doing that? It's July, it's hot in this room. And I guess, presumably, he was warming up the flute, but I think also he was warming up his body. So you get used to doing this by closing your air here, and then just pantomime blowing into the flute and not letting anything come out. And that'll activate your lower abdominal muscles like this. And then the sound you should get is something like this. If you're getting this sound, it means you're breathing from your back and from your ribs, and it's not really as deep. It won't give you as good a tone. So again, the sound sounds like this. It's deeper. So then when you play, a couple things you can think about. You can think of making sure that you've got air coming from the top of your mouth and the bottom of your mouth. And at the moment, my thinking about it is it's kind of 40-60. So 40 at the top, 60 at the bottom. And then, once you get your air started like this, you add your vibrato. I don't actually start my vibrato with my tone. If I did that, I get a sound more like this. And I get stuck somewhere in my back. And I found with a lot of people that I work with, the vibrato tends to be a little low in the body. So lately I've been thinking about it kind of up. If you feel your neck, you'll feel a bump back there. It's your seventh, your vertebrae back there. Think of your vibrato maybe a little bit higher, say up there. So again, we get the air going into the flute from all the way down deep in the body. Then we think of having air in the top and the bottom of the mouth, so it's like this. And then adding your vibrato. Now if I do that same phrase and I don't pay as much attention to, and let me interrupt myself and just say this is from when you practice. When you play, you have to just play. You can't be thinking about too many things at once or nothing's going to come out. But when you practice, you always want to find the easiest way to do it. At least that's what I want to do. I always want to find, how can I make this easier so that when I get out there and I'm frightened or I'm nervous or something weird happens, I can still play. So if I do this kind of a breath where it's more shallow and I play, I'll get a sound like this. So there's more tension in it, there's more tension in my lower back. But even if I get myself set up well with my breath, and then I add my vibrato too quickly like this at the outset of the note, it's a tighter sound than this sound. You hear there's more depth in that sound because it's kind of ironic when I think about it, because when I actually mentally separate the vibrato physically from the outset of, I don't know how I want to pronounce it, I guess the outset of air is fine. The vibrato actually sounds like it's spinning in the sound more than when I actually put them together. Listen to this, I'm going to put them together. I'm going to take them apart. float more in the sound. Another thing you can try is, a really helpful thing, of course everything adds up when you play the flute, but I like to use the cork. If you stick a cork anywhere in your mouth, just stick it between your teeth and your gum somewhere, you can feel the back pressure of the air. So when you're going up high, say I'm going to go B flat, B flat, B flat, listen to the change in the sound of the air. So as I go up, there's more of a when I play louder. There's more of a and I've noticed on most people, when they, not most people, but most people I teach, a lot of the people I teach, until they realize it's easier not to do that, when they go higher, they actually go like this. Because they're pushing. You're pushing with your back, so your airflow actually stops. Also because your tongue is coming up. So another thing I talk about is keeping the tongue the same. So the tongue is in kind of a L, between L and R. So just kind of relaxed, rather than being very, forward or super down or touching my teeth. My tongue is just floating at the bottom, and the tip of my tongue is just barely touching the bottom teeth, not the top teeth. When I take a breath, when I finish a phrase, I try to leave my tongue where it is, rather than move it around. And another thing you can try with a cork that's interesting is you can put the cork between your fingers, like this, to find your optimal hand position. This way, you'll notice my hand kind of is coming a bit to the right. A good position for your hand is the handshake position. So when my hand is relaxed at my side, I'm going to let it down to my side. You can see how it is just there. I'm not doing anything funny with it. When I bring it to my flute, same kind of thing. So I like to rest my flute on the top of my thumb, all the way down to the bone. I don't like to be behind my flute because I like my flute to feel free, and I like my hands to feel balanced. I found when I bring my right thumb back, there's more tension in my left wrist. So here, this thumb's like that. My other thumb is kind of high because I think it's important that the index finger, this knuckle here, be down below this key. If you can see that. That way my hands have parity. They're the same on the flute. They're basically relaxed. And a really good thing to pay attention to is something we always forget about, which is the area between the fourth and the fifth finger, because the tendons of these fingers are tied. It's very important to me, when I want to play fast, to remember not to clench. And I see people do all kinds of things, from lifting this one to pulling it back. Ram Paul did a lot of this, which is perfectly fine. You're just getting that finger, reminding that finger to relax, because it doesn't need to squeeze against the fourth finger. There needs to be a tiny bit of space there, most of the time. I hope that was helpful, and if not, at least it was free.